So let me sum up good posture for you this way. The idea is that you want to be able to play where it's comfortable. And so you need to be in a comfortable position. So what we want to do is to make sure that we're sitting with our back straight, shoulders back, and your legs should be just wide enough to where the snare fits in between them. And then your hands would sit positioned about level with your legs, or even with your legs. And as you grab the sticks, if your hands are sitting in front of you this way, the sticks should be straight with your arms. Notice here. And then you would play where your sticks would hit the center of the drum. You should get positioned when you're playing a full drum kit where your hands, as they naturally are to your side with your elbows tucked in, your sticks should be about in the center of the snare drum. Make sure you're in a comfortable position for your legs. Make sure that your feet are facing forward. And make sure that your shoulders are square with the snare drum as well. Now, while we're on the subject of how the drums are positioned, let's go ahead, before we get into an introduction to rudiments, let's talk about the position of the drums. And as you can see, I don't have a massive drum setup here. All I have is the basic drum setup that would work for any jazz gig, country gig, rock gig, pop gig. You could make this work. All I have is a kick, a snare, a high tom, a floor tom, or low tom. I have a crash cymbal, a ride cymbal, and a hi-hat. These are the basic components of any drum set. And this is pretty much what I practice on, because the basic thought in my mind is if I can't play the song with this, adding more stuff to it is probably just going to complicate things. So you should be really doing the majority of your practice to start off just on the snare. Then you might add the hi-hat. Then you sit down with the whole kit and pretty much work on the bass drum next. And then you're going to add in the other cymbals and toms. So let's talk about the positioning. The first thing is as you've got good posture, you're sitting square to the drum set, your feet should be positioned where your bass drum is comfortably, the pedal is comfortably here at your right foot, and your hi-hat would be at your left foot. I play with the hi-hat a little bit closer, but you could push it a little bit further away if you wanted. A lot of people play with it more out to the left side. That would be your preference. But my idea is that I want to have everything as close together as possible so that I can play with as little effort, which means that I'm going to be able to play faster because I can reach things quicker than if I have to go way up over here. You see people with high cymbals just kind of all around them, or their tom is 6 inches away from the snare. And if they're comfortable with that, that's fine. But thinking about physics, the further the distance, the more time it's going to take me to get to it. So if I have all of my instruments, all of my drums close in together, I'm going to be able to play quicker, and I'm going to be able to play with a whole lot less effort. So it's going to be a more efficient way for me to play. I like to keep my tom, my high tom, right here at the top of the snare, in line. And the height of the tom is really up to you. This currently is positioned maybe a little lower than I would like. I could bring this up some and I would be a lot happier, but that's about the highest that it goes on this little setup that I have. And then the floor tom is usually about level with your snare. And it sits over here. You could adjust it back maybe a little bit this way if you were more comfortable, depending on where your ride cymbal is set up. Notice that my ride cymbal does overlap the floor tom some. If you had another tom, if you had a middle tom, it would sit right here, and the ride cymbal would be scooted over just a little bit more. And then you could have a crash cymbal over here, as well as I like to usually in a live situation have at least one other crash cymbal here. Think about when you're setting up your drums what is easy to get to. If something is difficult or takes too long to get to, it's not going to be easy for you to play. So be thinking about these positions. It needs to make sense as you're going through and you're trying to reach it. Think about, is this easy for me to get to, or is this difficult? Could I scoot this in closer? If you can make it in closer and keep it comfortable, that's going to be the best way for you to play. But always make sure that your snare is level, right here in front, easy for you to get to, and watch the tilt of things. If your tom is tilted too far down, then you're almost going to be playing this way instead of playing on top of it. You should have control over it. As you're sitting with your back straight, you should be totally in control over the top of the drums to where you can quickly and easily get to everything without having to switch gears.